Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Thursday, March 2nd and Friday, March 3rd, 2017. Hope you have a good trading week. We had a great day on Wednesday. Our top pick finally triggered and ran some, which is nice. Haven't had a main pick off the report trigger for a while because the market's been so generally flat. Did have a gap up session, so that's not ideal, a gap and go as we call it. We'll take a look at that in the intraday action. Let's look first at the futures and the daily charts. Then we'll talk about the intraday action. We'll talk about what's left this week. As usual, for the end of the week, we don't do a market preview usually Thursday night going into Friday because most of the week is already played out. I don't think this week will be any different, so we'll just have this report to carry you into the weekend, and then again over the weekend the preview for all of next week. I will be on the road for part of Monday and all of Tuesday next week, resuming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Won't affect the calls that were the reports, and Rich and Mark will be around as usual. Here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market. Biggest, widest range day of the year. By the way, that follows the S&P was down 5 points the prior day. That was the biggest, 5 points, the biggest down day in 2017, as sad as that is, because the ranges have been so tiny. But we finally got a range day in terms of the total, not in terms of the intraday trading, because we did gap up. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Let's go through the other stuff we watch. Here's crude oil down 32 cents on the session to 53.67. Gold down 4, basically a blip there. The S&P gains 32 on the session. The NDX up 60 points on the NDX. The SOX up 15. Biotech's up 42, almost to new highs for a breakout on the biotechs. VIX loses 38 cents, which is not that big of a drop considering what happened today. Back to 12.54, still holding pretty low. The trend gets a really low reading at 0.62. Let's look what's going. Let's count 10 days back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to lose a low number. So it's not going to affect the 10-day moving average much tomorrow, which is sitting at 1.1. NASDAQ volume, 1.9 billion shares, a little bit less than the prior session. Advanced decline ratio, remember, the day before we had horrible advanced decline, worst of the year, negative 1,600. I said that only matters if it continues, and then magically everything reverses. So they sold everything off yesterday on Tuesday, and then gapped up and squeezed them on Wednesday, and that's most of what you're going to view that as, is a squeeze of those who sold. Advanced decline ratio plus 1,000 on the New York for the session. Google gains 1182 on Google. Apple up $2.80, continues its, this was actually a move, continues its steady climb. Amazon up 8, still not at all-time highs. Netflix up 52 cents. This thing's been so flat lately. Tesla up 3 cents. Remember, this is still suffering from that 13 sell signal. All right, so let's take a look at the intraday action here. Look at the S&P in 5 minutes. Remember, half the move, if not more today, is the gap. We have this big gap up, and then the first 30 minutes or so was boring. Then we took off to the upside and climbed all the way until the start of lunch, dead flat, as flat as can be during lunch, one little push up and then flat and rolled back over a bit. And look at the volume at the closing candles, by the way, very important there. Look at that. Biggest volume of the day is actually selling at the close. Same thing on the NASDAQ side. Gap up actually pulled down initially, made some money on a short or two, and then turned up and then went dead flat over lunch, and then again afternoon really wasn't anything. For us, the big trade of the day was Paychex, PAYX. We've been watching this one. Gapped up a little, but not over the trigger. So it actually got a very clean trigger when the market was hitting highs off of a huge daily chart breakout, which is what we want to see. I'll show you that daily chart here right now. So this was the daily chart of Paychex. We've been tracking this one. Look at that. That's just such a nice long pattern. Can't miss those when they trigger. They're free money. And we did really well with that, among some other things. All right, so what do we have in terms of data left this week? On Thursday, Challenger job cuts at 7:30 a.m. Initial and continuing jobless claims at 8:30. That's an hour before the bell. Natty gas at 10:30. That's 30 minutes an hour into the market. ISM services is the only number on Friday, 30 minutes into the market. You know, Fridays can be slow, but you never know. We're at least remember what we talked about yesterday. Tuesday was month-end prints for statements on for February. So the market, that was a little slow. The market was free to move today, and it chose to gap up and squeeze out those who'd been sellers the day before. We'll see what we get beyond this and go from there. So we got 2 days left this week, still 4 full weeks of March after this, and no holidays, nothing to slow us down. So hopefully, again, the market should pick up one way or the other as long as we get some volatility and volume. That's all we care about. And this is a good time of year typically. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Thursday and Friday.